Before the team is able to reunite, Yamcha, Bulma and Puar are tracked down by Tao, who arrives in spectacular fashion and demands the Dragon Balls in their possession. Yamcha, aware of Tao's terrifying reputation, orders Bulma and Puar to run, promising to buy them time, after which he uses leftover tools from his bandit days to cover the area in smoke and powder to cloak their escape, only for Tao to part the smoke screen with a wave of his hand. Forced to simply fight, Yamcha flings himself into the fray, fighting with everything he has, while Tao merely maneuvers around him, tentatively amused at most, but consistently outplaying and overpowering him. Yamcha's so far on the back foot, he falls back on a desperate gambit after the Wolf Fang Fist fails to even make a dent. The Kamehameha. The blast he unleashes is large, but Tao mocks his careless form and essentially bounces the technique right back at him. Yamcha is engulfed in a wave of light, the attack signaling to all in the area that the fight has reached its apex, and it coincides with Bulma finding the rest of the gang and Roshi racing on ahead of them. But you might have noticed an absence of Puar. That is intentional. The shapeshifter had lingered behind, and seeing his friend collapse from the blast, smuggled his friend out of sight as the smoke cleared, then impersonated him, taking on the form of an injured Yamcha, barely standing as opposed to the unconscious form of his friend hidden behind the rocks. Tao sees through the ruse the moment Puar's movements don't line up well enough with the injuries, and fires a Dodon right through Puar's head. Tao mutters contemptuously before moving on to finish his target, commenting that Yamcha would have made a fair student had he had time to work on him, only to be interrupted when Roshi arrives, scooping up Yamcha and threatening to face Tao, who mocks the old turtle for thinking he can fight him and defend the boy at the same time. Roshi grudgingly concedes the point and allows Tao to take the Dragon Balls and leave, just as Yamcha begins regaining consciousness. Upon seeing his dead friend, Yamcha is inconsolable. Consumed with anger and guilt, he practically howls, blaming himself for the death, for Goku's capture and efforts to snap him out of his guilt spiral on the way back to capture Corp and spy a little. In fact, after an argument with Bulma about trying to raid Red Ribbon Compound, Yamcha leaves, promising to fix the problem with his own hands once he has the power, and completely ignores Roshi calling after him. He races back to Korin's tower, aching but driven past his limits by the need to claim the sacred water. As Yamcha forces himself up the tower, the others rebuild the radar and realize that while the Red Ribbon have 5 of the Dragon Balls, with 1 more seemingly en route, the 7th cannot be detected, which gives them time to try and plan. Meanwhile, Yamcha finally reaches the top of the tower and is offered a senzu bean by Korin, which instantly restores his stamina. However, his gratitude only goes so far and he asks for the sacred water. Korin chides him for thinking that there's any amount of water that could let him win in a fight when he's so churned up, quickly goading Yamcha into a fight. As they battle over the course of the days, Roshi explains the history of the Crane School as they seek out the Ox King to bolster their numbers for an attack on Red Ribbon HQ to rescue Goku and reclaim the Dragon Balls to wish back Puar. Meanwhile, Korin spends his time lecturing Yamcha on everything from his breathing to his ki theory as his erstwhile student slowly improves, eventually reinventing the afterimage technique to project an image any direction he wants, regardless of whether he moved there, allowing him to claim the water. When he doesn't feel any stronger, he puts together Korin's lesson and asks if he's actually ready, to which his master answers with, "You never know when you're ready, only when you must act, and that time is now." He gifts Yamcha a remade uniform with the Korin symbol woven into it and sees him off. Yamcha returns to the gang in time to join their planning session and eventually takes point in the frontal assault team of Roshi, Ox King and himself. Launch will take a stolen Red Ribbon ship and fly the rest of them, Krillin, Bulma, Chi-Chi and Oolong, in the back of the compound where they will search for Goku. The assault and sneaking mission go well, at first. But as the frontal assault team is fighting their way through soldiers with casual ease, Tao arrives on the scene, and Dr. Gero, overwhelmed with rage and acting against orders, activates a machine that simulates full moonlight and is attached to Goku's head, unleashing the Ozaru. Roshi and Ox King promise to take care of Goku, the former informing Yamcha, "My student, my responsibility," leaving Tao to the former bandit as Roshi goes 100% power to play distraction and do damage control as Ox King works to cut off his tail. Meanwhile, Lanch and Oolong end up separated from the team, locked in a shootout with Colonel Violet over the Red Ribbon Army's gold. Only Oolong's ability to disguise himself as an animal distracts Violet long enough for Lanch to knock her out. Krillin, Chi-Chi and Bulma find Commander Red's chamber, and the fighters take down General Blue and Assistant Black, while Bulma holds Red at gunpoint and claims the Dragon Balls. Outside of the bunker, the base is being torn apart. Yamcha and Tao dance and duel through the increasingly ruined buildings, their own battle nearly as destructive as Goku's rampage. Tao is at first amused by Yamcha's seemingly increased skills, but as he fails to put the younger martial artist down, that amusement turns to anger. He tries to undermine Yamcha's confidence, suggesting his friends might be killed by the Ozaru, but this only steals Yamcha's resolve as he retorts, "Then I'd better finish you quick." Staring down the Dodon Pa, Yamcha copies Tao and returns the attack to him, forcing Tao into a hasty dodge into the sky, Yamcha pursuing him and delivering a powerful kick that sends Tao careening into a mass of stored explosives that seemingly ensure his death. Meanwhile, the battle of master and student is resolved. Goku's power is terrible in this form, but so is his focus. Roshi's full strength, however briefly he can use it, proves sufficient to holding Goku in place so that Ox King can cut off his tail. As the group confers in Red's bunker with an unconscious Goku in Roshi's arm, Red inadvertently reveals his true motives for his wish, and while everyone is angered by the pettiness of it, the person who acts on it first is Lanch, shooting him. Not long after which Goku wakes up and is very confused before remembering what happened and begins sobbing, not because of his capture, but because Jiro showed him a recording of his transformation. He's realized he was the one who killed Grandpa Gohan. The others make a concerted effort to console Goku, and both Yamcha and Bulma manage to make the most headway, reminding him that Gohan knew Goku's transformation and kept him around anyway, just like they did, because he loved him and so wouldn't blame him for what happened. Yamcha even bites back his own grief and offers Goku the chance to use the Dragon Balls. Goku is seemingly uncertain, and it's noted they need to find the last ball anyway. Roshi suggests they leave and go visit his sister. Before they do so, though, Bulma announces the destruction of the Red Ribbon Army on public broadcast. Author's note: the Fortune Teller Baba saga isn't exactly a saga in its own right. It's mostly falling action after the Red Ribbon are defeated, but it is a good jumping off point for the next segment. And in truth, the arc doesn't change over much. Ox King is too reverent to challenge Baba's fighters. Launch is out of ammo because she used her capsules to soar the Red Ribbon Army's money. Roshi is forbidden due to an unspecified incident. Meanwhile, Chi-Chi is insistent on joining the fray. The fights start off quite well, with Chi-Chi's magic armor letting her avoid being bitten by Drac and letting her laser beam the vampire into submission. However, the Invisible Man defeats her in short order. She insists that Goku avenge her, and while oddly sour in mood, he does so, being able to sniff the Invisible Man out. After which, Goku is pitted against Bandages the Mummy, but Goku's off temperament and the Mummy's controllable bandages leave his tail open to being grabbed. Yamcha tries to convince Baba to end the match, but she shrugs him off, laughing as Bandages tosses Goku around. Krillin launches himself into the arena and does manage to rescue his injured friend, but is quickly overpowered by the Mummy's maneuverability as he tries to protect Goku and fight. Baba uses her magic to stop Yamcha from interfering, insisting that she will cancel the tournament if he does so, and Yamcha shouts, "You damned witch! Do you enjoy watching kids getting smacked around?" Baba's retort near slaps him into the ground. "Oh, how terrible! I failed to live up to the high moral standards of a blood-stained bandit." Yamcha can't quite form words as she continued, "Don't try to be a hero, boy. It's not your speed." Goku and Krillin do manage to eke out a win, launching a joint Kamehameha at Bandages, but the pair look exhausted. Yamcha steps up and makes the boys stand down, insisting that this is his responsibility and that he wouldn't be able to live with himself if anything happened to Goku again. Despite being aware of Devilman's power, Yamcha still faces him, relying on his speed and the afterimage technique. He is able to trick Devilman into hitting himself with his own beam, though due to being a devil it only tickles. Still, this grants Yamcha enough time to knock him out. Thus, the final contender appears, a masked martial artist with a halo and a strangely respectful demeanour, who insists that they take the match outside for some fresh air. The fight itself is far more traditional and respectful than the past ones. Yamcha is surprised to find himself at ease as the older martial artist comments on his efforts as they exchange a flurry of blows, yet he notices his opponent does not seem solely focused on him, but instead on the audience, and the pieces begin to fall into place. In line with his Kahan ability to see through Roshi's disguise, Yamcha deduces Gohan's true identity. Revealing it for all to hear, he steps back and lets Gohan take his time to assure Goku he doesn't blame him, and is both very happy where he is and overjoyed Goku has found so many people to look out for him. Gohan then forfeits the match, much to Baba's contrition, but she does reveal the location of the last Dragon Ball and the fighters take off to collect it, Goku even gaining back Kintoon thanks to Baba informing him it can't be destroyed. Suffice to say, the Pilaf gang is deeply, deeply out of their league.
The 7 Dragon Balls. I shall grant you any one thing from among these.
The dragon is summoned and Yamcha wishes not only for Puar to be restored to life, but anyone else who was killed by Tao and the Red Ribbon Army, if the dragon can do that.
Very well, I understand.
Puar and Yamcha reunite, but as the celebration dies down, Yamcha seeks out advice from Roshi and Baba about improving both their character and his skills. They suggest doing so by travelling the world, as they doubt there is much left for even Korin to teach him. Yamcha agrees and he promises to check in with Bulma constantly, but before long he and Puar set off on a training journey while the others head off to Kame House before remembering it was blown up and thus in need of repair. As night falls, one can see a large battlesuit clearing rubble away from the Red Ribbon base as jeeps and helicopters approach in the distance. Locked within the machine is Dr. Gero. Cradled in the machine's iron grasp is the broken and burnt, but still alive body of Tao Pai Pai. With his target acquired, the Doctor rockets away into the distance as the world government investigators approach the ruined base. And that is where I will leave you for now. And that's all. If you would like to support my work, please check out my Patreon linked below, or check out my Ko-fi to commission 3D models. Thanks for stopping by.